G'day everyone. Right, the parking ticket, or the parking breach notice, because it's not really a ticket, it's just a fee. So after you've seen the first release of where I ended up ringing up Manukau, Westfield Mall in Manukau, and telling them that Parking Informant Services told me that if I was going to shop at their mall and park there more than once a day, that I'm supposed to let them know. They thought that was hysterical. After sending that email, I got an email yesterday, and wouldn't you know it, the parking breach notice has been waived. We'll call that a victory. That's $55 that I don't have to go and defend. So the letter works. Rule 5.3.6 of the Code of Conduct for parking on private premises, that Parking Informant Services and Wilson's are signatories of, state that they must have their important notice and terms and conditions at the entrances. Just so you guys can see, I went back to Manukau and I filmed all of their signs and all of their entrances, and I'll show you now. In fact, I'll put it in on this video, the fact that they are not in compliance. Okay everybody, so this is car park C3. As you can see, there's only the yellow painting on the road where it says 120 minutes. First came in, I parked over there next to the tree. Okay, as you can see, I parked on that end spot. So we first took the photo at 10 to 9, and then the second photo they took when it was parked here when I returned. There are no signs anywhere in this car park. I came in the entranceway as you can see, nothing there. Come in the entranceway. See, there are no signage anywhere. Come in here, there's a very faded 120 minute parking sign there, and then as you come in, you'll notice that there are no signs anywhere at this entrance. Breaching their own parking on private land. Okay, so there are no signs anywhere as you come in to car park C3. No signage, no nothing. First time you see a sign is when you come into there and see C2, or coming through that area. Issued, or breach notices issued from Parking Informant Services at Manukau, at least, are all invalid because they are not in compliance with the Code of Enforcement. Some people say that they screw up their tickets and throw them away. That's fine. I like to take these things head on and not just ignore them. For the reason, the old saying, silence is acquiescence. If you ignore a speeding ticket, granted that's been issued by an authority, then that silence and ignorance is considered guilt. So, yeah, I wouldn't say ever ignore things. If someone makes a claim against your good name, then rebut it. You have the right of reply. So always rebut something that you know is false. But as far as this ticket's concerned, we'll call that a win. Now, what do you reckon, people? I'd love to hear in the comments. Should I still chase up my invoice? Because remember, they issued a parking breach notice and posted that on my car and deposited that on my car. So they entered into an agreement with me by doing that, and to pay my fees on demand. So, perhaps on the 26th of this month I send them a reminder, and next month if they still haven't paid I send them a final demand letter, and then perhaps I pay $45, which is still cheaper than the ticket, and I take them to disputes tribunal and perhaps set some sort of rule or case law for other people to still be able to, and see if I actually do get my money using their rules just like they do with me. So we'll see how we get on there. Election is tomorrow. Or should I say, it's not an election, it's already been pre-selected. It's not an election, it's a selection. And I had a row. I got threatened with prosecution last time if I wasn't listed on the census, and threatened with prosecution if I wasn't on the electoral roll. Well, I ain't got no fucking election papers come to me. Gee, I guess that means I'm not on the electoral roll. And when I checked all of this out last time, many years ago, through an Official Information Act request, it turned out that out of the 3.8 million back then that were in New Zealand, 10%, over 380,000 people, had not been on the electoral roll. Of that 380,000, the Electoral Commission spent about $1,200 trying to prosecute about 47 of that 380 odd people, and they spent $1,200 trying to prosecute them. They managed to get 5 or 7 people out of that number actually were found guilty, and they were fined a maximum of $500. So yes, the Electoral Commission spent $1,200 of taxpayers' money to get $500 back, and had a less than 5% success rate in prosecution. Why? Because there is no law stating that you must be on an electoral roll. It's all just a delusion to make you think, hey, you've got some choice. Your voice makes a difference. How about on the voting papers, you give someone or people the option of saying no confidence, and have that actually count instead of being a lost vote. People are going in there, filling out and doing all sorts of stupid things on their ballots. Whatever. I don't care. As far as I'm concerned, throw a match to the whole fucking lot of them. Because it doesn't matter. And when you're watching, and I've recorded all the election, the debates this year, and it's nothing but a bunch of fucking children fighting over each other, slinging shit at each other. There's nothing of substance being brought up in the debates. It's just, well, look at what they did. Oh, well, look at what they did. A bunch of fucking, literally like preschoolers arguing over who's done the worst. It's absolutely ridiculous. By the time we all got more to open source government, where if there's a decision that needs to be made, we all have the technology these days where you can vote on whatever decision that needs to be done. We don't need these so-called 120 representatives of the people in a big fucking beehive trying to say they're the masters and rulers of the lot. If you don't like it, well, you voted it. That's their argument. Well, that was what we campaigned on. That's what we're doing. you know? In other words, tough titties. But then democracy is mob rule, isn't it? Everybody goes on about having a free and democratic society. Nothing's free in this fucking world. And yes, it is very much mob mentality. Sooner or later, the governments and the powers that be are going to learn just exactly how big the general mob can be versus them. Because there seems to be a lot more turmoil kicking up in the world these days, and I remember a prophecy from old Nostradamus saying nations will be against nations. There will be wars and fighting everywhere when it comes to the end. And fuck, didn't Israel and Hamas just start having another scrap? Everybody seems to be changing the focus on Ukraine after Zelensky brought a fucking Nazi in and they all gave him fucking... that was such a fucking fuck up, Trudeau, you cock. But then Trudeau's probably fucking giving old Jacinda a reach around whenever she, has got the strap on, so who knows. But anyway, those are just my views. I thought I'd keep you all posted, and take care. I'm going to go out and do some shit. It's going to be a nice day today. Bye all.